Namaskaram. Welcome to our Kulu. This year our theme is Shringaram, which is one of the Navarasas. It is the emotion of love and affection. So we've tried to depict some of the famous and some of the not so famous love stories over time in Hindu mythology. The first story is that of Sati, Parvati and Shiva, and also that of Ravi and Manmadan. Sati and Shiva would have been in love and they would have gotten married. Once when Sati's father, King Dakshan, has a very big homa called Daksha Yagnam, he invites everybody, all the gods, devas, goddesses, everyone, but he doesn't invite Shiva. When Sati goes to ask her father why her husband and she were not invited, King Dakshan insults Shivan and Sati further. And the avamanam thanga mudiyama, Sati will jump into the fire, hence ruining the entire yajna. When Shivan finds out about this, he comes there. He's extremely upset with the fact that he's lost Sati. So he does a Shiva Tandavam and destroys everything. And after he does that, he goes into a cave and goes into deep meditation. This obviously doesn't sit too well with the other gods and goddesses because Shivan illama mata asuralla nariya prachana panna arambichidva. Meanwhile, Sati is reborn as Parvati to King Himavan and she grows up to be a very big Shiva Bhakta, and she goes into penance waiting for Shivan to come back to her. But obviously Shivan cannot hear any of this because he's completely isolated himself from the rest of the world. So the remaining gods and goddesses, all of them come together and they plan to send Manmadan and Radhi, who are the gods of love, to wake up Shivan using the Pushpabanam. So when Manmadan goes and puts the Pushpabanam on Shivan, he wakes up, but he wakes up really because angry. He was disturbed from his penance. He opens his third eye and he burns Manmadan. But as soon as he does this, he realizes his mistake and how he has been ignoring all of his duties as the destroyer for many, many years. And he also realizes that Sati is reborn as Parvati, so the two of them are united in Shiva Parvati Kalyanam. But obviously, Radhi is not happy because she lost the love of her life, Manmadan. So she goes to Shivan and she cries to him saying, you're very happy with Parvati, but I still lost my Manmadan. So Shivan obviously relates to that kind of a loss, and he brings Manmadan back to life. So Radhi and Manmadan are reunited. The next story is that of Rukmini and Krishna. Rukmini and her brother Rukmi would have once travelled to Mathura. Rukmini would have been exploring the city, which is when she meets Krishna for the first time. They spend the entire day together and really end up liking each other. Meanwhile, in the palace, Rukmini's brother Rukmi and Krishna's brother Balaraman end up having a huge argument, and Rukmi leaves with Rukmini and arranges her wedding with Shishupala. Rukmini is obviously not happy with this because she wants to get married to Krishna, so she writes him a letter saying they're going for a Gauri Puja the day before the wedding and she would really like for him to come and take her. So on the day of the Gauri Puja, Krishna comes on his chariot, takes Rukmini and leaves, and the two of them get married. Krishna has another wife named Satyabhama, and once Narada, being Narada, goes to her and tells her that everybody thinks that Rukmini loves Krishna more than she does and that she has to prove them wrong. So on a whim, Satyabhama will donate Krishna to somebody else, and the only way to get him back would be to weigh him out in gold. So Satyabhama gathers all the gold and jewelry in the palace, makes Krishna sit on a tulabharam and tries to weigh him out, but on the tulabharam konja kuda nagarave nagaradu. Kadasila Rukmini will come to help Satyabhama out. She'll pray to Krishna, she'll take a single tulasi leaf and put it on the tulabharam, and it will even out Krishna's weight, hence proving love cannot be conquered by materialistic things but rather by simple gestures. The next story is that of Uttara and Abhimanyu. Uttara will be the daughter of Balaramar and Abhimanyu will be the son of Arjunan, and the two of them will be in love and will want to get married. But Balaramar will want Uttara to get married to Duryodhana's son because at that time the Pandavas would have lost all of their wealth, whereas Duryodhanan would have been a Chhatrapati. Obviously, Uttara and Abhimanyu would not be happy with this and they'll take their problem to Krishna, who will ask Gadu Gajan, who is known to be well versed in the ways of illusions and Maya, to disguise himself as Uttara. So Gadobgajan, in the disguise of Uttara, will take part in all the wedding ceremonies with Duryodhanan's son, while Uttara and Abhimanyu get married with the blessings of Krishna in Gadobgajan's palace. Swaha and Agni. Agni is the god of fire, and he be present every time there is a homam happening. Once two rishis and their wives will be performing a homam in a forest, and Agni will be present there. After the homam, Agni will be walking around in the forest thinking to himself that in the rishila avaloda wives oda evlo happy irka, but எனக்கு தான் யாருமே இல்லை. Turns out King Dakshan has another daughter named Swaha, and she would have been in love with Agni. This one time when she was following him in the forest, she gets caught by him, and when confronted, she confesses her feelings for him. Agni also really likes Swaha and wants to be with her, but the two of them have a problem. That is, Agni is a deva, so he's immortal, whereas Swaha is a human being, so she's mortal. Hence, Agni will make it such that every time somebody prays to him, they will have to end the mantram saying Swaha, hence making Swaha immortal and Agni and Swaha inseparable. This is a modern day Graha Pravesham where people are doing a homam and they are praying to Agni and Swaha together. Rohini and Chandran. Chandran, or the moon, would have been married to King Dakshan's 27 daughters, who were also the 27 nakshatrams. But he'll always treat Rohini very special. When the other daughters complain to King Dakshan about Chandran's partiality towards Rohini, King Dakshan will curse him, saying the only reason he is so arrogant is because of all of his beauty and light, and so Chandran loses all of his light. As soon as this happens, Chandran realizes his mistakes. He goes to Shivan and promises to treat all of his wives equally and begs him to give his light back. Shivan tells him that he can't disrespect the king by reversing his curse, so he'll make it such that 15 days of the month he will lose his light, but the next 15 days he'll gain it back, hence causing the waxing and the waning of the moon. Damayanti and Nalan. Damayanti would have been a princess who would be famous for her virtues throughout all three lokams. King Nalan will hear about her and will want to see for himself, so one day he goes to her town and watches her in the marketplace, and he's so blown away by how humble and gentle she is with the rest of her people, even though she's a famous princess. He falls helplessly in love with her and goes back to his palace without doing anything else. One day he'll be sitting at a column by his palace and just reminiscing about Damayanti, and anga nariya birds la irukum. Absent-mindedly he'll go to catch one of them and a swan will get caught. The swan will request Nalan to let him go, but Nalan will refuse. And the swan will say that he heard Nalan talking to himself about Damayanti, and that if Nalan lets him go, he will go and say nice things about Nalan to Damayanti. And Nalan lets the swan go. Keeping up his promise, the swan flies to Damayanti and sings a song about Nalan's bravery, chivalry, and most importantly about his love for Damayanti. And Damayanti gets really curious about Nalan, thinking, who is this person who likes her so much? A few months later, Damayanti's father arranges for a Swayamvaram for her, and people from all three lokams will attend the Swayamvaram. Nalan will also come to the Swayamvaram, and as soon as Damayanti hears that, she makes up her mind about who she's going to pick. Turns out there are 4 devas who also attend the Swayamvaram, who are Agni, Vayu, Varuna and Indran. When they find out that Damayanti is going to pick Nalan, they want to play a game with the two of them, so they change their faces to look exactly like Nalan. When Damayanti comes to the Swayamvaram, she's super surprised to see that there are 5 Nalans sitting over there, and she won't have any idea who the real one is. When she prays to all the gods she knows, asking them to help her identify the right Nalan, they tell her to just remember the song the swan sang, and she realizes that the man she wants to marry is human, whereas the rest of them are devas. And anga paatha, 4 devaku shadow irkadu, but only the human Nalan will have a shadow, and she'll pick him and they both get married. Menaka and Vishwamitra. Indra is the king of all the devas, but he is very insecure about his throne. So yaar enna penance pannalum, he'll assume they are trying to get his throne. So, ஒரு தடவை when Vishwamitra does a penance to become Brahma Rishi, Indra will assume that he is doing it to get the Deva's throne. In order to disturb Vishwamitra, Indra sends 4 apsaras to distract him. First he sends Rampa, then Urvasi, then Tilotama, but Vishwamitra does not wake up. Finally, when he sends Menaka, Vishwamitra is distracted by her and he gets really angry. He expects Menaka to be extremely arrogant because she's an apsara. Instead, Menaka is apologetic and says she was only following the orders of her king even though she did not want to disturb him herself. Vishwamitra is really impressed by this, and even though Menaka was there only to distract him, even she really respects him. Because Rishi's children are born of the mind, the bond that Menaka and Vishwamitra formed turns into a child, and hence Shakuntala is born. This brings us to the story of Shakuntala and Dushyant. Shakuntala grows up in Rishi Kanva's ashramam, and once when King Dushyant was hunting, he aims at a deer and misses. Chasing the deer, he reaches this ashramam where Shakuntala lives and realizes that deer is Shakuntala's pet. He decides to spend a few days in the ashramam, and by the end of it, they both really like each other and they want to get married. King Dushyant would have been in the middle of a quest, so he wouldn't be able to take Shakuntala back to the palace and get married over there. So they exchange rings and they get married in the ashramam, and he promises to come back for her. One day, Shakuntala was sitting under a tree in the ashramam and dreaming about Dushyant's return, and Rishi Durvasar comes there. Rishi Durvasar is known to be a temperamental person and gets angry quickly. When Shakuntala does not notice him, he gets really angry and curses her, saying that whoever she's thinking about will forget about her. As soon as Shakuntala hears this, she comes to her senses, begs for his forgiveness, and tells him the whole story about King Dushyant. Rishi Durvasar feels really bad for Shakuntala and amends the curse, saying Dushyant will remember her when he sees a token of their love. So Shakuntala takes her ring, gets on a boat to go and meet Dushyant, when the ring will slip and fall into the water and a fish will eat it. When Shakuntala goes to meet Dushyant without the ring, he will not recognize her, tell her that he has no wife, and sends her away. Many months later, a fisherman will find the ring and recognize the royal symbol on it and take it to King Dushyant. As soon as King Dushyant sees the ring, he'll remember everything about Shakuntala, seeks her out, and the two of them are reunited. This is the story of Valli and Murugan. Valli would have been a princess of a hunter clan. அவளுக்கு சின்ன வயசுலேருந்தே முருகனை கல்யாணம் பண்ணிக்கணுன்ட்டு ஆசை. ஒரு தடவை நாரதர் will go and tell Murugan about Valli and he'll ask him to go and see her. Valli's father would have asked her to guard the fields from elephants on that day. Murugan, instead of coming as himself, will come in the disguise of a hunter and will propose to her, saying he wants to marry her. But Valli will say, "Illa, na Murugana dhaan kalyanam pannipen," and will send him away. Next, he'll come in the disguise of a forest king and propose to her again, saying he'll give her a big palace and lots of jewelry and all of that. But she'll tell him the same thing, that ava vandu Murugana mattum dhaan kalyanam pannipa, and she'll send him away. Finally, Murugar will come in the disguise of a sage, and Pullayar, his brother, will decide to help him and come in the form of a wild elephant to scare Valli. Valli will hide behind the sage, and as soon as she touches him, she'll realize that is the real Murugan. When she confronts him, Murugar shows her his true form, and the two of them are united. Chitrangada and Arjunan. Arjunan during his exile will be moving from kingdom to kingdom, and once when he was trying to enter a kingdom, he'll be stopped by a young soldier in the forest. They have a brief battle of arrows and Arjunan wins the battle, but he appreciates the boy for his courage, his chivalry, and how well he fought. When he goes to the palace, the king introduces his daughter Chitrangada to Arjunan, and that's when Arjunan realizes that it was Chitrangada who was in the disguise of the soldier in the forest. Arjunan was truly impressed by her and wants to get married to her. Chitrangada too wants to get married to him, but the king is not okay with it. This is because their kingdom has a curse that every king will have only one heir, which means after him, Chitrangada will have to rule the kingdom, and if she gets married to Arjunan, she'll have to go with him to war and then to Hastinapur. But by then, Chitrangada has made up her mind that she will get married only to Arjunan. So even though they get a very brief time to be together, they get married. They're only together for 3 years, during which time they have a son. After which Arjunan goes off to war and Chitrangada and her son continue ruling over the kingdom. Sulochana and Meghnad. Meghnad is the son of Ravanan, and he would have heard a prophecy about himself that Adiseshan is going to kill him. So he goes to Padala Lokam to fight with Adiseshan. But before that, he meets Adiseshan's daughter Sulochana. After spending some time with Sulochana, Meghnad decides that he does not want to fight with Adiseshan, rather wants to form an alliance. When Meghnad asks Adiseshan for Sulochana's hand in marriage, Adiseshan refuses, saying he wants Sulochana to get married to Indran, and the only way Meghnad can marry her is if he fights with Indran and wins. So Meghnad takes the blessings of all the elders in Lanka and goes to Swargalokam to fight with Indran. At one point, he fights so well that he starts winning. As soon as this happens, Adiseshan is extremely pleased with him and he's ready to let Sulochana and Meghnad get married. But obviously, Meghnad does not know this, so he continues fighting. At one point, Meghnad fights so well and so valiantly that he drags Indra's chariot down to Bholokam. As soon as this happens, all the gods get really worried that if a normal human being ends up killing the king of all the devas, then they will lose all the respect that they have. So Brahma comes to stop him. Brahma declares that Meghnad has won the battle against Indra, gives him the Brahmastra, and also gives him 2 boons, that as long as he does a Kali Puja before any battle, he'll never lose that battle, and also that he can only be killed by a person who hasn't slept in 14 years. After this, he blesses him with the name Indrajit because he fought against Indra and won. Meghnad and Sulochana get married and live happy together. A few years later, Lord Vishnu is reborn as Ramar and Adiseshan is born as his brother Lakshmanan, and Lakshmanan is the one who kills Indrajit in the war, hence fulfilling the prophecy as well. This is Chettiar in Chettichi's Valentine's Day gift shop.